My life was measured in inches. The distance between my worn shoes and the speeding tires, the distance between the pavement and oblivion. That was the extent of my control. I was hurrying home after a double shift, fighting the mounting panic of impending destitution, when the world turned into a chaotic blur. A black sedan appeared from the darkness and slammed into me. The pain was absolute, followed by the terrifying silence of the street as I collapsed, waiting for death. I wanted to call for help, but the darkness was too strong. I woke up to the smell of antiseptic and leather, not hospital curtains, but silk sheets. A man stood over me. "Where am I? This isn't a hospital." The Mafia Boss's voice was cold, possessive. "You're precisely where you belong, Amy. Safe. And you're not leaving." The pain came first, radiating from my ribs like electrical currents. Then confusion. The ceiling above me wasn't the water-stained tiles of my apartment or fluorescent lights, but dark wood paneling with recessed amber lighting. "Don't move." The voice was deep and controlled. "Your ribs are still healing. 3 fractured, 1 broken. You've been unconscious for 2 weeks." 2 weeks? I turned my head slowly and saw him. Tall, impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit, dark hair perfectly styled, gray eyes studying me like I was a puzzle he was deciding whether to solve or discard. "Who are you?" "Nicolas Carlton." He said it like I should know the name. "You're in my home. My doctors have been caring for you." "I need a hospital, a real hospital." "You need to stay exactly where you are." He moved closer, and I smelled cedar and leather. "The hospital would have asked questions. Questions lead to police reports. You don't want that attention, Amy. Trust me." The way he said my name made my blood run cold. "How do you know my name?" "I know everything about you. Amy Elizabeth Thompson, 28. Gallery curator at Morrison's, part-time barista, 3 months behind rent, 42,000 in student debt." He rattled off my life like a grocery list. "You were crossing 10th and Madison when one of my competitors' vehicles struck you. They were fleeing a territorial dispute. Wrong place, catastrophically wrong time." "Your competitor?" "I run certain operations in this city. The Vipers, the organizations whose driver hit you, have been moving in on my territory. That night, they were sending a message. And you, unfortunately, have become a complication in my very complicated life." I spent 2 days learning the boundaries of my golden cage. Nicholas's penthouse occupied an entire floor, windows modified to show light, but no landmarks. Every door except the bathroom required codes I didn't have. Medical staff came and went silently. Nicholas appeared 3 times daily like clockwork. 15-minute visits, unless I asked questions, which he answered with unsettling honesty. "Why not a hospital?" I asked on day 2. "Because the Vipers know they hit someone. If you surface, they'll find you. They'll want to know what you saw, what you remember." He stood by the window, backlit like a corporate devil. "And when they've extracted that information, they'll eliminate the loose end. You. So I'm a prisoner. You're protected. What's the difference? A prisoner wants to leave. Protection is what keeps you alive long enough to understand why staying is the better option."
On day 3, I tried to escape, stupid and desperate. I forced myself out of bed despite the agony and made it to the door. The hallway beyond offered only more doors, more impossibilities. Nicholas found me collapsed against the wall. He didn't speak, just lifted me, easily, gently, and carried me back to bed. Don't do that again. You'll tear your stitches. I have a job, bills, my landlord. Your landlord received 6 months' rent. Your employers know you're recovering. Your bills are being paid. You're under my protection now, Amy. That means I handle your problems. All of them.
If you can't stand people who think they can just buy control over someone's life, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments, type, "Nobody deserves that." Because what happened next only got worse. Day 4 brought a lawyer named Mr. Chen with a leather briefcase. He showed me photographs that made my blood turn to ice. The black sedan, the dent in its bumper, 3 cold-eyed men, all vipers, all looking for the witness to their vehicular assault. They've been making inquiries at hospitals, clinics, morgues, Mr. Chen explained. They know someone was hit. Mr. Carlton's intervention is the only reason you're not currently being interrogated in a very unpleasant location. So what now? I just stay here forever? Until the threat is neutralized. Nicholas appeared in the doorway. The vipers are being dealt with. When they're no longer a factor, we'll reassess. Dealt with, I repeated. They won't be a problem. His tone left no room for questions. After Mr. Chen left, Nicholas stayed, working on his laptop, managing his empire from my bedside. I watched him when he wasn't looking, noticed how his jaw tightened during disappointing phone calls, the 2-fingered typing that seemed at odds with his perfection, the moment he rubbed his eyes and looked suddenly, unexpectedly, tired. "Why are you really doing this?" I asked. "I told you, the real reason. You could have dumped me at a hospital under a fake name. Why am I here?" His fingers paused on the keyboard. "Because I don't leave loose ends, and because what happened to you happened because of my world. That makes you my responsibility." "I'm not a responsibility. I'm a person." "You're both, and persons under my protection don't suffer, not while I have breath in my body." Days became a week. Pain dulled to an ache. I graduated from bed to wheelchair to walking with Nicholas hovering nearby. The penthouse revealed itself in layers, a kitchen with marble that had never seen cooking, a library with first editions behind glass, a gym like a luxury hotel's. Everywhere, controlled perfection. "You're staring again," he said one morning at breakfast. "I'm trying to figure you out. Most people give up pretty quickly. I'm not most people." "No." He looked at me then, really looked at me. "No, you're not." That afternoon, he found me in the library studying the first editions, Dickens, Hemingway, art books that made my curator's heart ache. "You can read them. They're meant to be appreciated, not stored. I figured you'd worry about damage. I'm worried about a lot of things, Amy. The integrity of books isn't high on the list." He moved closer. "Your gallery, Morrison's. Tell me about it." I told him about the cramped space on 5th Street, about discovering new talent, matching pieces with collectors, standing in rooms of beauty I'd helped create. He listened like my words mattered, like I mattered. "You miss it,"
I miss having a purpose. You have a purpose. You're healing, staying alive. That's survival, not purpose. He considered this. Then, come with me.
Nicholas led me to a door requiring both code and fingerprint scan. The room beyond made me gasp. Paintings, sculptures, installations. A private collection that belonged in a museum. A Rothko, a Cauda mobile, what looked like an early Picasso sketch. This is... I couldn't find words. This is my collection. I acquire things of value. Art, properties, information. Things that appreciate, that endure. I stopped before a small bronze sculpture. This is a Degas, an actual Degas. Is it? I was told that, but authentication wasn't my strong suit. If you believe art belongs to everyone, not just hidden in private collections, hit that subscribe button. People like the Vipers won't. And you need to hear what happened when I helped him understand what he truly owned. I spent 3 hours examining pieces, cross-referencing them mentally with databases I'd memorized over years in galleries. You have 17 pieces needing proper authentication, I told him finally. 3 are almost certainly forgeries, and 1, that small landscape by the Calder, might be a completely unknown work. If it's real, it's worth millions. Nicholas had watched me work with intense focus. And you could tell me which is which. I could. Then do it. I'll have Mr. Chen bring documentation. You authenticate my collection. Nicholas, this isn't my job. You said you missed having a purpose. I'm giving you one. He stepped closer. Work for me, Amy. Stay in this house. Stay safe, and do what you love. I'll pay you triple what Morrison's did. I don't want your money. Then don't take it, but take the purpose. Take the work. His voice dropped. Take the protection that comes with being mine. The word hung between us. Mine. I should have been terrified, should have run, but I said yes. The work transformed everything. Nicholas brought in UV lights, microscopes, reference materials, databases I'd only dreamed of accessing. I set up a workspace and lost myself in analysis and discovery. The colder landscape was real. I confirmed it with shaking hands, worth millions. Nikos took the news calmly. Good. It stays. You could sell it, fund more acquisitions. I don't need money, Amy. I need beauty. He'd appeared behind me, a habit he'd developed. You understand that? It's why you do this. He was right. Maybe that's why, when he reached out to brush dust from my cheek, I didn't pull away. Why his hand lingered, tracing my jaw, I leaned in to the touch. This is a bad idea, I whispered. Terrible. He agreed, but he didn't move away. You're a criminal, a businessman with unconventional methods. And you're a curator under my protection. We're both exactly who we've always been. Are we? Because I didn't feel like the same person who'd been rushing home 3 weeks ago, drowning in debt and loneliness. He kissed me then, soft, testing, giving me room to pull away. When I didn't, when I pulled him closer, something unleashed. The kiss deepened, turned hungry. We broke apart,
breathing hard. Nicolas's perfect composure had cracked. "Amy," he said, my name rough. "If we do this, I know what I'm doing." And I did. For maybe the first time in my life, I knew exactly what I was choosing.
It happened 3 weeks and 4 days after the accident. I was documenting prints when the lights cut out. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in red. An alarm blared. Nicolas appeared, moving faster than I'd ever seen. "Get down, behind the Rothko. Don't move until I come back." "What's happening?" "The Vipers found us." His voice was utterly calm, terribly calm. "Stay hidden, Amy, no matter what you hear." He vanished. I crawled behind the massive canvas, heart hammering, breaking glass, shouts, gunfire, actual gunfire. Minutes crawled like hours, fighting in the hallway, more shots, a scream cutting off abruptly. The gallery door burst open. Comment, protect the innocent if you're Team Amy. The Viper's violence can't win. Now watch what happens when she finally had to choose her side. A man stumbled through, not Nicolas. Younger, a serpent tattoo on his neck, a viper. Bleeding, gun in hand, his eyes found me. "There you are." I grabbed a marble sculpture and threw it. My aim was terrible, but it caught his shoulder. He staggered. Then Nicolas was there. One moment the Viper was raising his gun, the next he was down, and Nicolas stood over him, weapon drawn, suit torn and bloodied. "Did he touch you?" "No, I'm fine." "Good." One shot. Clean. The Viper stopped moving. I should have been horrified, but all I felt was relief. "There are 3 more. My men are handling them, but we need to move, now." We ran through the penthouse past bodies I tried not to see. His grip on my hand was iron, keeping me safe. We ended up in a panic room, steel walls, enough supplies for a siege. He locked the door and pulled me into his arms. "I'm sorry you had to see that. You saved my life, again. And I'll keep saving it, as many times as it takes." He looked at me. "You understand now. This is my world. Violence and danger and decisions that keep you awake." "Then I'll stay awake." I cupped his bloody face. "I'm not leaving, Nicolas. I chose this. I'm choosing you." The Vipers were eliminated. Not just the attackers, all of them. Within 48 hours, the organization ceased to exist. "They won't bother you again," Nicolas said 3 days later. "We were back in the gallery. No one will. Because you eliminated an entire criminal organization. Because I protected what's mine." He said it simply. "You, Amy, you're mine, and I protect what's mine." The penthouse was being repaired. The bodies gone, handled by people I'd never meet. Nicolas's world worked like that, terrible and then perfect again. But it had happened, and I had chosen to stay. "I need you to understand something," I said, focusing on the painting before me. "I'm not staying because I'm afraid. I'm not staying because I have no choice." "Then why?" "Because for the first time in my life, I feel safe. Not just physically, but safe to be myself. Safe to do work I love. Safe to exist without constantly waiting for disaster." I moved closer. "You gave me captivity. You gave me freedom. From fear, from debt, from being alone." I turned into his palm. "That's the most free I've ever been." 6 months later, I stood in my gallery room, putting final touches on a new acquisition. Bold, contemporary art I'd always loved, but Morrison's could never afford. The penthouse had become home. I'd learned its rhythms, its secrets, the way Nicholas moved through it. I'd learned to sleep through late-night calls, to recognize which frown meant what kind of trouble. I'd learned the names of his men, the ones who died defending us. I'd learned to thrive in Nicolas Carlton's world. "The Hotwell Foundation called," Nicholas said, appearing with coffee. "Another ritual. They want to discuss your proposal. My proposal. A foundation to support emerging artists, funded by his resources, curated by my expertise. And I told them you'd call back. It's your project, Amy. Your decision." I took the coffee, let him pull me close as we looked at the gallery we'd built together. "Do you ever regret it, keeping me here that first day?" "Never." "Not even when I reorganized your filing system?" "Not even then." His arm tightened. "You were right about freedom. I thought I was keeping you captive, but you freed me too." "From what?" "From living in a world that was all control and no beauty, all power and no purpose." He kissed my temple. "You gave me purpose, Amy. You made my collection mean something. You made this house a home." I set down my coffee, turned to face him. 6 months, and he still took my breath away. "I love you," I said. "I know." He smiled, rare and genuine. "You stayed. That's how I know." Outside, the city sprawled beneath us, full of chaos and danger and debt and desperation. The world where Amy Thompson had barely survived. That world still existed, but I didn't live there anymore. If you watched or listened up to this point, comment the country you are watching this from. Represent your country. I lived here, in Nicolas Carlton's fortress, in his arms, in the life we'd built from wreckage. I lived in the world where being hit by a car had been the best thing that ever happened to me, where waking up on a Mafia Boss's bed had been the beginning of everything good and true and mine. I lived in freedom, and I was never leaving.